spectators stand and give them a standing ovation, applauding them. There's Robbie Flower, and Todd Vardy was with him. And the final score, 22-26, 158 Melbourne have defeated North Melbourne 5-10-40, and the fans are ecstatic.
The last quarter, 6 goals, 10 to Melbourne, 1 goal, 2 to North Melbourne. And since quarter time, North Melbourne could only add 2 goals, 8, whilst Melbourne put 19 goals, 20 on the board. And that really does sum it up. Greg Wells, former Melbourne champion, also played with Carlton, and assistant coach down here at the Melbourne Football Club at the moment, John Northey, and deservedly getting the plaudits of the crowd. And the chairman of selectors, Frank Louis Adams, has given great support to John Northey. But the Melbourne fans can be justly delighted as Robbie Flower leaves his side into the club rooms. A delighted Robbie Flower and his team, as well they might be. 1964 was the last time they were in the finals, and today they have been absolutely superb. All over the ground. They've hardly had a weakness from, well, one end of the ground to the other. David Peel, one of the hard-working administrators of the Melbourne Football Club, was there. Warren Dean has played an excellent game. All over the ground, Melbourne had superb players.
They sure did. There's little Ricky Jackson, Greg Healy, the 2 little men. There's the man who played on Phil Cracker and Dean Sharon. There's the Scotsman. There he is, Sean White. What a sensational game and sensational year that he has had. Robbie Flower. John Northey, I'm sure he'll say to the players, keep your head on the ground. Don't let it get to you. You've got another big game next week against the Swans, and the Swans will come back hard, as Bobby said. There's Greg Wells, former Melbourne champion. Robbie Flower in the background. Earl Spalding there, terrific game at centre half back. And this is a revitalised Melbourne Football Club. Don't worry about that. They're going to be a real force during this final series, because they've shown a tremendous amount of character today. And in the final analysis, an easy win to Melbourne. They've won 22 goals, 26, 158 to North Melbourne. A very, very disappointing 5-10, a total of 40.
And so Melbourne go on to meet Sydney in the first semi-final. We'll see how they did it when we return to the VFL Sports Centre. Welcome back to the VFL Sports Centre on Elimination final day as we take a look at the scoreboard of the day that completely tells the story. Melbourne dominant in all departments, leading by 4 points at the end of the opening term, 37 points at the long break, 80 points at three-quarter time, a 118-point margin in their favour at the end of the day, 22-26, 158. Defeating North Melbourne 5-10-40. The goal kickers look like this for North Melbourne. Not too many of them. Phil Cracker, I beg your pardon, with 2. Steele, Hepburn and Smith, 1 apiece. And the multiple goal kickers only for Melbourne, because there were so many of them. Flower 5, Jackson 3, Campbell 3, Williams 3 and Dean with 3. So all round good performance, and Jim Stein, of course, also kicked 2 goals. Barry, let's take a look at the highlights of the final quarter. They'll pretty much be Melbourne's highlights.
All Melbourne highlights, Ken. North Melbourne really capitulated again in that last quarter, and just to have 2 games like we've had this weekend, really quite amazing when you're looking at supposedly the top 5 sides in the competition. One side you wouldn't think would be able to control a game as much as Hawthorn and Melbourne have done over this weekend, but really congratulations to Melbourne. I didn't think they could do it. I thought they'd be a bit light on in manpower, but just an absolutely superb performance today.
Well, it's an old saying, but it's certainly proven true. Finals football is a different ball game altogether.
Well, it is a different ball game, and next week's going to be completely different as well. And while you're allowed to enjoy your win today, Melbourne people and the Melbourne players should really start working and looking towards next week and making sure that they repeat the dose. It's a different game every week, and as the final series goes on, the pressure mounts.
Well, we saw Tony Campbell kick a goal there just a moment ago. That was Jim Stein's, the last one, but I was fairly impressed with Campbell today. We haven't seen too much of him, but he did a very good job.
I mean, if you couldn't play in the Melbourne forward line today, you could never play at all, and the ball was just coming down that ground absolutely superbly. They delivered the ball to perfection, and as we see just there on the replay, Campbell taking that mark. But, I mean, it's a forward's delight having the ball coming down like that from players further up the ground, and it was just a top performance all over the ground from Melbourne today.
Well, they were late in the day and bringing on Icehold and Richards, but it certainly worked for them too. They did a good job as well.
They just joined in the fun, Ken. They had a great time.
All right, the statistics, Barry?
Well, the stats certainly just show Melbourne's superiority all over the ground, and again, the outstanding one is the scoring shots, 45-15. I mean, North Melbourne just did not have a forward line at any stage during the afternoon, and Melbourne just a fantastic performance, and let's hope that they can continue on with it.